Learn from my mistake. Are you tired of hearing the same old advice when it comes to real estate? Do you want to learn from the biggest and baddest mistakes in the industry? Then welcome to Learn from My Mistake, the podcast that brings you real estate professionals from all over, sharing the biggest blunders and how to avoid them. I'm one of your hosts, Jake Remillard, and I'm joined by my partner, Marie Baginski. We're here to give you the inside scoop on what not to do in the real estate game. From brokers to investors, we've got it all. We're not just here to tell you about our guest failures, though. We're here to help you learn from them so you can make the right moves when it counts. So buckle up and get ready to hear some juicy stories and expert advice you won't find anywhere else. This is Learn from My Mistake. New episodes drop every week. Don't miss out. Learn from my
Welcome. Okay, we are live on season 2 from Learn from My Mistakes, and I am Marie Baginski with my co-host Jake Remillard. How's it going, Jake?
Hey, what's up, Marie? What's up, everybody? Excited to be here today with our awesome guest,
Chantel Beck.
That'd be me.
I should sing everyone's name. Chantel Beck.
Yeah, that was very angelic too.
I know, right? Should have a halo.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm very excited, Chantel, because I feel like you are one of the strong women that I look up to. And I know that you have lots of nuggets that you're going to share with our guests today. So without further ado, why don't you give everybody a little bit of background, tell us what you do.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I have to say I've been, on the board of directors for a while. You guys have been in the boardroom for a minute now. I've been watching your journey and I am super proud of you. You guys both have been out there just killing it. And congratulations. You guys have a lot to be proud of. So you should be.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep. Thanks for having me. So for those of you that don't know me, my name is Chantel Beck. I have been in real estate what feels like forever because my dad was a general contractor growing up. So I was on job sites with him. I was learning from my mom in the back office, doing all the things, right? So I was the kid that got to go on the job site, also in the office, also in the meetings. It felt like a natural fit for me when I graduated college. I went into the corporate world, ended up being laid off a couple times, and I was like, this sucks. This is no fun, right? And so from there, I started my own business, and I actually went and interviewed a bunch of people, found out that I really enjoyed real estate, and then it hit me that that's what I've been doing forever and didn't even know it, right? So got my license, went into being a loan officer, took some time off right when the loan officer world crashed. So it was perfect timing. Got back into it. What's most relevant in today's world and in how this applies is from 2011 forward, I've been consistently in real estate doing renovations out in California. I have wholesaled, I have retailed, I have been licensed, I've done all sorts of things, lending money, all that kind of stuff. And then I've been involved with the Boardroom Mastermind since 2012. So a long ass time, right? So, but since before the boardroom existed, I was a private coaching student for Kent's, and then worked my way into it. And he came to me years later and said, people naturally come to you. You're a gifted coach. Would you coach for us? And I said, yeah, absolutely. I'll do that. So I've been a coach for real estate worldwide and involved with the Boardroom Mastermind actively since 2015, and still doing real estate, still doing renovations, love it. Found less enjoyment in it directly over the years, but found my most enjoyment in helping entrepreneurs and building business. I still have, a small portfolio. I still do renovations. But the most exciting thing was I bought my EOS franchise last year because I really found I can actually help entrepreneurs avoid the same mistakes that we all make. So that's what got me here on my journey. Long-winded, but there it is. That's the path.
No, I love that. And so for people that are listening that maybe don't know what EOS is, why don't you just give a little background on that? I see half of Jake's book in the corner of his.
Yeah, his is up
there's
there.
a reason it's in the number one spot.
Well,
Thank you.
and guess what? Look, mine's right here on my
Thank
desk
you.
because I use it so often with, bookmarks and
Isn't
yeah.
that the case though? Like when you find a book that works, you're like, let me just keep it as a reference guide on my book, right? On my desk. And that's really what it is. So EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System. And it's not, it is similar to what I have found in my own experience in coaching entrepreneurs is that when you're an entrepreneur, you have the hustle, right? You have it. We're going to kick ass, make things happen, get the money coming in. And then all of a sudden, sooner or later, you look up and you're like, I don't know how to really run a business. So the book Traction is written by Gino Wickman, and it is the entire system in print that we use as implementers to go in and help people run their business more efficiently. And so Entrepreneurial Operating System is a simple set of practical tools that help entrepreneurs run and operate their business to gain traction in a way that gains vision, is healthy, and gains traction in their business.
Yeah. I love that explanation. And to me, when I hear system, I think that there's like some kind of like app that I have to like download and buy. That is not the case, right? EOS, this system is really, like you said, it's tools. It's a different way of thinking about your business, of running your business. I've had several businesses myself, from running a pool hall with full-time employees.
That does not surprise me. That is awesome.
So to, all of my real estate endeavors and several real estate partners that came and went over the years.
They weren't as handsome. So.
And they definitely were not as handsome as Jake. But I think like Jake doesn't realize how good he has it, Chantel, because when we started this business, there were two things that I told him. And actually, they're both on my desk. I was like, we're using this Traction, right? And this.
Awesome.
So I was like, this is how we're going to start the business. The business is going to use the profit first model for accounting and Traction to run the business. Like
That's
if
awesome.
we don't implement this from day one, I don't want to be your business partner.
I also have both those books quickly on hand. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome.
So that is like our reality every day in the business. Like we've literally started doing our, VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer, from like month one of the business.
That's awesome.
And I've run businesses that didn't use it, and it's night and day difference.
Yeah.
So yeah, I explain now, like, I know you did real estate for yourself. What was the shift? What made you really like want to buy the EOS franchise? And, I know that you love the coaching and helping others. But you went and like got certified, right?
I did. Yeah. And I paid a lot of money to own that franchise.
Yeah.
So, really, I had gotten a little drained. You coach thousands and thousands and thousands of students, right? Literally. And some will take your nugget and run, and it's uber cool to watch and be a part of, right? Yeah. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't take action, right? And so, there's fuck up number one. You don't take action, whether it's me or somebody else. Yeah. You must, if you are smart enough to surround yourself by the entrepreneurs that are successfully doing what you want to do, then do as they do. Don't do as they say, or do as they say because they've done it before you, probably done it wrong. So learn from that and do it right. Right. Yep. But what really got me was there was a little bit of fatigue and burnout on what I was doing, a little bit of headbutting with the contractors. Like, it shouldn't be this hard. I'm a woman. Most of the time they're a dude. They try and challenge me. It just became too much of a pain in the ass. Like, I don't want to have, my life shouldn't be this difficult. It's a fight for no reason. And while I was good at it, I just didn't like the fight. I thought it was pointless, for one. And then for two, as I'm coaching students and I'm helping people and I'm doing retail on the side, I'm helping buyers and sellers. Brandon was like, I hear you say it all the time, yet you're doing something you don't enjoy. You don't enjoy working with retail buyers. What the hell are you doing? And so it took somebody close to me to be like, knock it
Right.
off.
Right, right.
Right. I was like, he's right. At first I was pissed because I was like, of course I love this. And then I was like, but do I? I don't know. No, I don't enjoy it. So then you start down a journey naturally of what do I enjoy? I really enjoy boardroom. I really enjoy helping entrepreneurs. I really enjoy providing systems and feedback for shit that actually works, because there's so much out there that doesn't actually work, right?
Mhm.
And so I've watched so many people self-implement, and I taught out of the book for so long that it was just a natural fit. It's the next progression in what's next in my professional development, as well as, you know, personally, I really am fulfilled. I love it. I absolutely love helping entrepreneurs and seeing that progress towards the next step.
There's something so powerful about that fulfillment. It's something I think so many people lack. I did for a long time, and I don't think that I've really found like the full fulfillment,
Yeah.
but it was something that I didn't get when I joined the military that I expected to get. For whatever reason, I did not feel that sense of fulfillment. For whatever reason it was, I couldn't pinpoint it. I couldn't really explain it, but that's fantastic that you found that. One of the
Thank you.
questions that I have is, you mentioned something a few minutes ago that you've watched a lot of people self-implement and teach out of the book. What do you think is, or what are some of the more common fuck ups for people that are self-implementing?
They don't follow it purely.
Mm.
They don't actually work the program, or they take the nuggets that they think will help them the most, and they don't realize the shit that they don't want to do is what they absolutely need to do. Like, it's like, you need to be IDSing. You need to be dropping that shit down and talking about it, because it's going to move you forward. You have to be tracking your rocks. You've got to hold people accountable. And those conversations are really uncomfortable, but it is really the healthiest, most productive conversations that can take place in your quarterly meetings. And really having somebody who integrates effectively and efficiently to make it as pure as you can is really what's going to drive it forward.
Yeah, I can definitely say with Jake and I self-implementing, I think, I don't know if I'm accurate, but it would just be better if we had someone who wasn't involved in the business to be able to be like, okay, guys, wait, you're getting off topic here. Or like, you're talking about something that's not important. You're doing this, you're doing that, right? Because I think like we both want to sometimes touch gloves on so many different things that's happening in the organization, right? Like I fulfill the CEO role right now, and Jake fulfills the COO role, along with many other hats. We're both wearing multiple hats.
Right.
But so there's like so many things that we want to discuss and, you know, make sure we're touching gloves on these things. And then like we're getting off track, and I'm like, okay, we're 45 minutes into this meeting, and we've only gotten past, you know, the first two steps. Like we're not even at the IDS part yet. Like this is not right. So I could see how having someone help guide you would be very
and there, to your point, like that's a really great point, is there are people that will go through a 2-year process, or maybe even just a year, because that's all they need, right? The typical process is 2 years, start to finish, before somebody graduates and moves on to being able to run the process as smoothly as they can without an implementer involved. However, there are a lot of companies that are very established, doing very well, that will have an implementer still come back for quarterlies, for semi-annuals or annuals, just to efficiently be that third party and go, look, like you're getting off topic. Let's backtrack, right? So, and you got to hammer through
You're
it.
getting in the weeds of things that this is not going to move the needle. Let's stay on point. Yeah.
Right.
Every once in a while we'll be like tangent alert, but it doesn't happen nearly as much as it should.
Yeah. And people that are not in the business, what we're talking about, all of us collectively, is working on the business, removing ourselves from in the business, working on the business to set the priorities, and then prioritizing those efforts to be the traction that moves you to the next thing, right? The rock, as we call it, right? And so you've got to have somebody on the outside that goes, okay, we set the priorities. Have those changed, or are those still the priorities? Yes, they're the priorities. Fantastic. Then let's go back to the priorities, right? It just takes an outside person. You know, Brandon and I were talking about that yesterday on one of our drives, because as entrepreneurs, we want to surround ourselves with people who we want to lift up, right? And maybe this is one of the fuck ups I've made in life, just in general, is we think, oh, my family members can come help. I'm going to put them in this position because I'm going to help bring them up in life, right? As we want to help people. I believe as an entrepreneur, a lot of us have the intention of we're going to help the people around us. So we put the person in the seat that we love. We put the person in the seat that we think can do the job. But at the end of the day, are they really the right person for the right seat? Right. And so that is a major question. But what happens in the entrepreneurial world is we surround ourselves. We go to the people we love for advice. We go to the people we love for direction. And they're like, you're killing it. Way to go. Good job. But what really happens, where our growth comes from, is when people say, oh, you're doing good, but I think you got more in you. I think you can push harder. I think you can be better. Because as an entrepreneur, our vibe is I can do better. Our vibe is I can kill that deal. I can build that multifamily. We have this inherent optimism and this inherent hustle and kick ass about us that makes us go strive and be more. But our family, God love them for it, are like, honey, you do great. You're awesome. But we need the person that's like, go kick ass because you can.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, it's why we continue to go to these masterminds, right? It's why we continue to surround ourselves with people that we say like-minded people, but I want to be around the guys that are doing way bigger deals than I am to continually push me, right? Yep. To get more, to get to the next level. Yeah. So, okay. So what are some of the biggest mistakes that either you made maybe earlier on in your career before you knew about traction? Or some of your clients without sharing client details.
I think one of the biggest things was wanting to put people in the seats. I covered it, wanting to put people in the seats because I love them and I want to lift them up, right? Yeah. When you work on your business, if you take an honest approach and you look at it and you're like, I need to work on my business, is that actually the right person? Do they actually have the skills to do that? You know, they're going to have your back because they're family or a friend, right? But are they actually the person for that job? So with EOS, we talk about developing the role and the function before we talk about putting a name in the seat. So that's the first thing. And then on a very big, that was a fuck up model. I was being pursued. Like, it couldn't have been a more stressful time in my life. I had 5 projects going. It was on the heels of, or in the middle of, a divorce that was nasty. I had a construction site. I had to take a second story off the attic space and build a second story on a house where I was maxed out on floor print. Like, I was doing everything I possibly could to survive at that point. And I had filed my builder permits under owner occupied, but I have an S corp. Right. And so there was a sting operation in Sacramento, and like all of a sudden my house happened to get a state contractor's licensing board came after me. Right. And so all of a sudden in the middle of my divorce and all of a sudden in the middle of all the things, like everything got tagged. Right. And so I had my brother on site who was not licensed officially yet as a contractor, but in the state licensing contractors board, it said that you can be an owner occupant working on the premises, right? And I'm a solo entrepreneur. So I'm like, yes, that's me. Yes, I'm an owner. Yes, I'm going to work on the property. And on the weekends I did, but my brother was there working on the property. It said in print, it actually said that family members could work on the property if they were not licensed, right? I will tell you, this was in print, and thank God my brother found it online. We downloaded it. We had it in print. They brought me up on felony charges.
Wow.
With the state contractors licensing board in the middle of my divorce. Like, I'm telling you, it was all the things. And so they wanted to put me on probation, and they wanted to suspend my business license. And they came after me with like some crap. I'm telling you, it was crazy. And I'm sitting in the state contractors licensing board and I'm texting my brother. I'm like, dude, they're telling me it's not, like, it's wrong. And they're putting this book in front of me. And like, I am almost having a heart attack. Like the anxiety at that point, like I'm a straight A student in B's. Like I have never gotten in trouble my entire life. Right. So all of a sudden I'm like, what the hell is going on? I'm being brought up on charges. Like that shit was scary as hell. And so the bottom line is this. I filed it incorrectly, which was a gray line. I walked the gray line. I lost. Don't do that. Right. However, thank God my brother downloaded all that shit ahead of time, because as I'm sitting there in the meeting, my brother's like, they took that shit off the website. Ooh. What the hell are you talking about? And so as I'm talking to them, they're saying that's wrong. They start talking, they step out, right? And that shit is all of a sudden gone on the website. We had everything in print. We had everything in email. I had to hire a lawyer. We had it all there. And they're like, okay, we're going to let this go. Just pay us $500. Okay, that's extortion.
Wow.
But I paid him $500 and I wasn't brought up on felony charges. I wasn't brought up on a misdemeanor. I wasn't brought up on any of the shit they were threatening. But I can tell you in the end, the level of anxiety, way not worth it, right? Way not worth it. And so learn from my mistakes, file the paperwork the way it needs to be filed, do it the right way. Because at the time, like, yes, I had 5 projects going, but I was still very new. It was 2012, 2000. Actually, by that time, my divorce, it was 2014, 2015. It was like 3 years in. Wasn't that, that big of a deal. But I felt like I own the company. I'm the only one there. I'm doing work on the property. And the contractors licensing board, they're like, oh yeah, like you work on the property. I'm like, oh, you asshole.
You're like, do you want to see pictures of me tiling, right? Or whatever?
Right, exactly. And so, yeah, that became a thing. And it was, I will tell you, it was scary as hell. And so from that point forward, I took a little more time to understand it, because I really did honestly believe I own this business by myself. I own it. But in their mind, the corporation owns it, not me. So I wasn't supposed to file as an owner occupied doing the work myself.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. And then the other gray line was my brother working on the property. Again, family, yes, that's fine. But they were like, not the corporation. If it's the corporation, it doesn't matter if it's your brother or not. Right. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, thank God we had enough to CYA, but it was scary. And so I will say, don't do that. Don't do that. Have all your processes in place the right way, like the book says. Right? So definitely. Create the processes.
That's a learning experience for sure.
You learn or you earn, right? In that situation, I was learning in a big way. So yeah, that was definitely one of the scariest things I've ever been through. And I still renovated properties afterwards. I still went back and did it the right way. We still got my brother licensed. We still did big builds. It wasn't like it stopped me, but that was nerve-wracking on a whole other level of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and that just shows like your entrepreneurial spirit, right? Because I think that's the difference between a successful entrepreneur and one that goes back and gets a W-2 job. It's like, is this gonna like stop me? Am I just gonna go work for somebody else now? Or am I gonna, full steam ahead, do what I need to do, right? Get the license, do things the right way, or and my own business.
What truly was at the essence of my stick-to-itiveness was I truly didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. I truly felt like while it was a gray line, I'm not going to say, oh, I didn't think it was a gray line. Yes, It was a gray line, but I really didn't feel like I'm doing anything wrong. Right. So like, go after the people that are actually trying to take advantage of the situation. I was not. I really, I was doing things right. I had to prove to them that all my subs were licensed and bonded and and I was able to do that for every single one and provide all the W-9s and, and so because I was able to show all of that and backtrack and, proved to them that I wasn't really trying to take advantage of the situation, I think they finally at the end were like, just let her go. Right. But it is enough because I felt like I was doing the right thing. I kept going. Right. So it wasn't like I shut down and kind of went into a shell and said, I can't do this. There's still that seed in you and that gut that is like, I'm going to keep going. Right. I'm going to keep getting this done. So I think that you're right. It says a lot about just, are you somebody who is willing to take a risk and bet on yourself? Or are you somebody who is just really more comfortable getting a 9-to-5 W-2? Right. And there's a lot of comfort in that too. There is.
I mean, have you found that to be the case with any of your coaching students? I'm just curious over the years, like you said, even with REWW, I'm sure you've worked with, like you said, thousands of students. How many do you think have just been like, you know what, I'm going to either stick with my 9-to-5 or go back to full-time 9-to-5?
I think most of them have done something a little different. Like they get into it thinking they're going to do full on luxury rehabs because they see all the HGTV stuff, right? And they're like, oh, you're like 10 into it. They're like, this sucks.
Right.
Right? I don't want to do this.
Let me
right?
switch to multifamily syndications or something, right?
Let me be a lender. Let me go wholesale. Let me go, do anything else but deal with all the contractors and the headbutting that goes on with some of that stuff, because in reality, that's like, choose your hard, right? Like if you're doing a W-2 and you're going to work from, 7 to 4, 8 to 5 every day, whatever it is, like you can tell I haven't had a W-2 in a long ass time.
Like, work like what, Monday to Wednesday or something like that?
Yeah, I don't even know what days, what hours they work.
Right. No. But in all seriousness, like I can't imagine being told exactly what to do, when to do it, how to do it. Like I'm really good at getting shit done, but I have to do it in my own way, in my own time. Right. Versus like directing somebody to do it the exact same way, the exact same process. Like, and there's industries where it's really important, like aerospace, right? Like anything that has to do with manufacturing. I'm not that person. Right. And I think that's probably a really good indicator of knowing what you're naturally gifted at and what you're good at and going after that. So I don't know. There's a mix, but a lot of people, I will tell you, a lot of people start starry-eyed looking at, I can do HGTV all day, every day. And then they go, I don't want to do that. So it's about coaching then based on what is your superpower? What do you want to do? How can we help grow this business?
Yeah, I really like that. I'm curious now with coaching clients on the EOS side of things. Have you dealt with any clients that are, maybe for lack of a better word, just that stubborn, entrepreneur that likes to do things their way? They're asking you to come in to coach, but they're not necessarily willing to take your advice. How do you work with those clients?
You fire them. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Well, so here's the thing, right? So I have clients that come in and they're like, I'm the visionary, I'm the integrator, this is our team. And you're like, you start asking the questions and you start communicating and having honest, healthy communication. And then all of a sudden you're like, but are you really the visionary? Are you really the integrator? And you're like, okay, do me a favor and go take the crystallizer assessment. Or team architects, you guys talked to Brandon a couple of weeks ago, they have their assessments, right? And so for the most part, I have a really hard time with those tests because I'm not a gifted test taker personally. But I will tell you, if you're answering the questions honestly about who you are and what you enjoy doing, if you can be honest about what you enjoy, I have found some of my clients that really, even in my journey, I'm not really enjoying that. What will I enjoy? Right. And if you can put yourself in the what will I enjoy the most, you're going to gain the most out of it. And you will start being more productive. You will start functioning better. You will start being a better team member. And so you lift everybody up. If you're really doing where your heart and your passion lies, that's where you're going to get the most production. So to answer your question, I have not yet found an visionary who isn't willing to work with me. I have found visionaries who are a little harder to communicate with, and you have to kind of step back and rephrase, right? What I hear you telling me is my perception is this what you hear, right? I've had to encourage visionaries to listen to the feedback they're getting from their teams. But for the most part, what I find is the intention is really good. The intention is really healthy. And then we work on the skills for the rest of it. Much like you do, actually, Marie.
Yeah. Interesting. Jake, I feel like this is one of the quietest I've seen you.
I'm too loud.
Oh, it's I'm paying attention and trying to like absorb it all.
It is funny though, because I definitely think that there are some guests that we've had where Jake is like, pew, 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 pew. Like, I'm going to ask a million questions. And then there are some guests that I think, like you just said, you go into like learning mode and you're like, I actually want to absorb what this person is saying.
Well, I was excited. Like like Marie said in the beginning, I'm kind of spoiled because I had one company prior to partnering with Marie, and it was totally thrown together. I mean, I made like a whole bunch of mistakes. I joined Fortune Builders, and then they were like, set your entity up with this, and then do this, and then pay for this, and then they just like kind of put me through this little pipeline of getting your business set up without teaching me how to own a business, right? It was just like, you want to invest in real estate, you have to have your LLC, and then they'll help you with the LLC, and then everything was just like it existed one day after we paid a bunch of money. But I didn't really know anything about all of that. So going through that, we made some mistakes with like business credit versus personal credit, but I did some stuff right too. I made some money, did some assignments, hired my first employee before I even did our first deal. So there were some cool things that came from that. But then once we started doing EOS, when me and Marie partnered together, it was like, wow, this is a company. Like my other LLC was an LLC. That's all it ever really was. But this is like Alora Homes. We like the foundation that we built because of it is just like, I think, unshakable. So yeah, when when Chantel's coming on talking about EOS, I definitely went into learning mode there.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so we're about 30 minutes into it. I don't want to keep you too much longer. But I would say, what would you want to share as either one of your biggest mistakes that you'd hope any of our listeners can learn from? Or a client of yours, again, without having to reveal.
Like, don't get brought up on legal charges wasn't enough.
I mean, that was a good one. Although it did actually remind me, I got pulled over when I first moved to Arizona, and was like on criminal speeding charges. Like I didn't know that existed, to be honest. Where if you're going more than 20 miles an hour over the speed limit, that's considered criminal speeding. So like felony conviction. But I was like, what? That's a thing? Like they were like, we could arrest you right now, but they didn't. They gave me a ticket, but then I still had to go to court, and it was scary. So that is actually what you're when you were describing that, I was thinking of like my felony speeding charges where you're like, what do you mean? I didn't think I was just racing home because my kid was sick and my husband was home alone.
Oh, God. I'll answer your question though. So I was teasing about it not being enough, but in all honesty, I really do think when you care deeply enough to be an entrepreneur, you must care deeply enough to build a real business. So what I mean by that is we all, and it's natural instinct because it's in us, we all put the hustle in to make the money, build the business. And you're building until checks start coming in and you're like, relief, right? Because it's a lot of work. People who are comfortable in the W-2s don't understand the fear, the stress, the excitement, the reward that we all get to experience, but we chose it, right? And so if you care deeply enough to to be an entrepreneur and start that business, then do yourself and do your family and do the people around you that depend on and rely on you the favor of treating it like a real business. Follow traction, follow the profit book, right? Self-implement, if nothing else, because the book Traction makes it stupid simple. When you can get yourself to a point where you bring in an implementer to be that third party outside perspective, it's super healthy and super worth it, 100%. But work on your business. Take the clarity breaks that you need to actually build out your VTO, to do your quarterly session days, to make it a real business. The tools in Traction are simple. They're practical. They're real time, real life use in your business. And so I would encourage you to honor your commitment to your business as much as the people in your life honor and love you through being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love that.
I've had several discussions about EOS with a lot of people, and it's funny, somebody that actually introduced me to it. I had heard the title before Marie insisted that we used it when we started the business, and this person that put me onto it, later I saw him post something about how it's not really for people that are operating at less than about $2 million annually. And I would love to hear your opinion on, do you think that EOS is for literally every business from startup to, no income all the way up to the larger corporations? What's your take on that?
I will tell you, the practical guidelines are 10 to 250 people, 2 point something million to 250, whatever, right? As someone who has literally coached thousands of entrepreneurs and business owners, I will tell you with 100% certainty, from ground up, you should be using something like your VTO. You should be using the clarity breaks, the quarterly sessions. Now, you won't have the team of leaders, because we build the whole system on a team of leaders that can help brainstorm. And that's the other thing behind masterminds and your leadership team. The whole concept of the boardroom mastermind is to be that group of team leaders, because we don't have it yet. It's getting us there, right? But again, the more you can treat your business like a real business and start with the foundation, the better, the quicker, the swifter all of your operations will go, and bringing the people on. Like Jake, you and I talked about creating a training system and having that in place for somebody that comes on. If you're just in the hustle, you're not thinking about that. You'll train somebody when they come.
Yeah.
If you're a business owner and you're thinking about how can I efficiently and effectively train somebody, you're going to put those systems in place so that they have a system to follow when they get here. So you're setting them up for success. If you're just in the hustle, you're like, get with me in the hustle because I need help. It's a desperation versus proactively going after something. And I'm always I'm going to work with the small businesses, and I really want people to be able to grow their business on a solid foundation. That's why I bought into EOS, because I believe in it that much.
Yeah. Okay. I have one last question. Usually I queue up Jake, but I have one last question.
Oh, I have one. I've been saving it.
You have? Okay. So then I'm going to ask my question and then we'll ask Jake.
All right.
So how would you help someone who, let's say, is like, I want a business, and it's like mom and pop, father, son, husband, wife, they're just starting out. They don't have a team yet. How do you coach them and push them to start implementing EOS? Like what's the first step?
Read the book, use it as a Bible, do exactly what you did. You grab it from your sideline, pull it in, and use it as a reference all the time. How should I handle this? Go to the book. What am I doing here? Go to the book, right? And so first and foremost, I'm going to say, read the book in print, not just in audio, but in print, because we all learn differently. We all absorb differently, right? So get the book, start actually using the tools. And even if they feel silly, because you're like, dear self, what do I want out of life? Right? I mean, even if it feels silly, do the exercise. Write it down, create your vision traction organizer, answer the 8 key questions, learn about the 6 components in your business that will help you get 100% strong. And building that foundation is where small businesses should start.
I love that. Okay, Jake, what is your final question?
Come on, bring it up.
Okay. All right. So a lot of times you'll see people W-2, folks that are like following sports teams, or like they'll dedicate their weekends to, watching the game with friends. And like you'll have people that are just sitting on the couch that know like these unbelievable, like detailed stats on players on different teams in different leagues and everything like that. I find that the deeper into the entrepreneur rabbit hole I go, I kind of find myself following other entrepreneurs in the way that people follow like sports teams and stuff. So I'm curious from your perspective, who are some of the most influential entrepreneurs that you think are worth following for our listeners?
John Gordon, 100%.
Ooh, good one.
Yep. Like I didn't realize he was somebody who I wanted to follow until he came to our boardroom mastermind. Right. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I'm totally geeking out. Like I will read as many books as he does. And I'm not a reader. Like I'll listen, but I love him. I think he's phenomenal. And so number one right there, obviously Gino Wickman with all the systems, all the people tracking, right? Like I have to say that. And then of course, right, the personality is a little tough. However, if you can get past the abrupt nature of Kent Clothier, he is tell it how it is. I'm going to tell you it's going to be hard. In fact, I was one of those fortune builder students, Jake. I was that person. And you buy into the sauce and you're like, I can do it. You're like jacked up on the juice, right?
Yep.
And then I had Kent come on stage and he was like, it's going to effing be hard. It's going to be hard. You're going to take some punches and then you're going to get back up again. And that meant more to me ultimately in the end. Look at me, like 15 years later, I'm still following Kent. And the reason I'm still following Kent is because he says the real story. It's going to be hard and you're going to get past it. I'm going to show you how to get past it. Kent, to me, in the boardroom mastermind is a group of people, a collective, right? It's bigger than just Kent now. It is a collective where any of those people I can turn to. Any of you, if I came to you guys and I'm like, I need help. I have no doubt in my mind that you'd be like, I got you. Let's go. Right. Yeah. The same for you guys. You came to me, you said, I need help. I'm going to help you. Right. And so, Kent and Ed Milet, for me, it's very important that the feedback I'm putting in my brain is both positive and real. Right. And so Kent's message might be rough to hear at times, but it's real and I need to hear it. Right. And then I'll also fill my brain with the Gino Wickmans, with the John Gordons, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, as weird as he is, I like listening to him too. So, that kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, like I'm so busy with EOS right now that I haven't had a huge opportunity to listen to a whole lot of books right now. Mm-hmm. But I'm with you. Like I start hearing people with the sports and all that. And I'm like, I have no time.
Right.
I'm like, I got other things to do. I got to go. So anyway, that's where I'm at with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You triggered a thought for me, Jake, though. It's like, if you really want your business to be successful, you need to know the KPIs of your business as well as the stats on the sports teams that you follow.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So you better know, and that's definitely been, I think, one of the biggest things for us as we've grown Allura Homes is I didn't realize how important the KPIs were, and to know like the industry standard of some of those numbers and like, okay, what do we need to strive for or get better at? And being part of something like the boardroom where you can hear, okay, how many, leads to contracts do you have? How many, what's your cost per lead, cost per deal? All of these like really key, key performance indicators, right? These are key stats. Like you need to know them. And especially like for us now, I think the biggest thing has been like understanding our marketing budget, right? Where as wholesalers and flippers, we're not in a construction business, right? We're in a sales and marketing business, and we need to spend the money on marketing to really get those leads in. And those were numbers that I didn't understand before because we were doing one-off, two-off, flipping, still finding properties on the MLS from other wholesalers. I didn't understand all the KPIs that go into really truly running the kind of company that we're in. So,
yeah. And you don't know that until you get into it, and building the foundation is what brings that awareness for you.
yeah.
Because without that foundation, you wouldn't know. I'm not in a construction business. I'm in sales and marketing, but you don't have that awareness and that unique awareness and unique attributes until you build the foundation. You guys have successfully built the foundation, and you've invested in yourselves to be a part of, you know, the boardroom and go through your EOS stuff and build it the way you need to, and other groups, because you're learning, you're investing in you and in the people that are in your business. And so my hat's off to you guys. You guys have done phenomenal.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I so look forward to seeing you also in Seattle next week. I'm very excited. And again, you always ask such good questions. I appreciate you so much as a coach and a mentor. So thank you for being here today. I am sure that there is somebody somewhere listening that is like, Chantel sounds amazing. I need to hire her to help me implement EOS in my business. So before we jump off, let everybody know, how can they get in touch with you and work with you directly?
Yep. So social media on Instagram is official_Chantel Beck at Instagram. And then if you want to email me, please do so at chantel.beck@eosworldwide.com. So it's chantel.beck@eosworldwide.com. I'm telling you, so many people mess up my name. Don't laugh at me. I have to spell it.
It's okay. It's okay.
It was the pause that dot that got me.
I know.
She was like, wait,
period.
not DOT, just dot. Oh my gosh. Again, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I, again, just look forward to seeing you next week.
All right. Take care, you guys. Thanks for having me.
Bye,
We're out of here.